Welcome back to the show, folks. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. I'm your host, Niall. It's the Thursday drive, we're going to call this one, en route into work. Going to be a real busy day. WWE are in town, so busy day ahead in the shop, no doubt, keeping wrestling fans happy. But we're going to get into all the latest football news and transfers. But before that, let's keep this motion and wheels turning on the channel at the moment. If you could subscribe, hit the bell notification and drop a like on the video, really appreciate it. Also, check out the show we did last night on Stephen Kenny. We asked the hard questions, we delved deep into it and stuff like that. Morris was on from GP Productions Podcasts, Ted was on from Retrotainment. Check out both those boys' channels as well, absolutely fantastic. Also, don't forget tonight, join us 9 o'clock on the channel. Dazzler's going to be on with me. It ain't going to be football this time, so it's going to be real interesting. Also, we're going to be joined by Jamie Phillips from Jamie Phillips Football Chats for another red, the same as myself, following Liverpool. We're going to be doing a preview for Money in the Bank and talking all things wrestling. So make sure you check that out if wrestling is your flavour as well as football. Right, let's get into the latest news. Yesterday, the transfer window, they kicked the doors off as Shawn Michaels super kicked Marty Jannetty through the transfer barbershop window yesterday. Arsenal sloshing the cash around 170 million, 65 for Kai Havertz. Still the jury is out on what the plans are for this lad, how he fits into this Arsenal team. I'm sure Mikel Arteta has a plan for him, or he wouldn't be bringing him in, that's for sure. 105 million, Declan Rice. Hats off to Arsenal, congratulations to the fans and Arteta and Edu and the club following through on what they planned. They wanted their man Declan Rice, they were going to put the money down. It didn't matter what City did, they convinced the boy to come, and now they've got their man. Has to be commended, fair play to them, don't worry about the cost. Declan Rice will be a sensational player at Arsenal Football Club. That coupled with talk that maybe Urian Timber could be in by Friday as well. Arsenal really laying down a marker. Very disappointed at how things ended up last season, being in a title race for so long and top of the league. This year they're leaving no stone unturned in terms of fixing that up, as you do. But fair play to Arsenal, I'm sure there'll be more signings as well as a certain amount of outgoings as well. So let's see what happens there at Arsenal. But very exciting times for Arsenal fans, that's for sure. United obviously linked with a number of targets at the moment, seem to be switching around. Mount, Caicedo, Rasmus, number of other different targets and stuff like that. Hamstrung at the moment partially by financial fair play. There is money to spend, but it's all going to hinge on who Erik ten Hag can get out the door. Obviously the difficulty there, they want Maguire out the door, McTominay out the door, Fred out the door, Alanga out the door. Zidane Iqbal went out to Utrecht. But the real issue in getting these players out the door is not so much the transfer fees that they want, it's more the wages that the boys are on them. And the boys having maybe 2, potentially 3 years on their contracts, very, very difficult to get them out the door when they're on 200 grand plus a week. Very hard to move them onto other teams at that wage level, and players are just not willing to take a pay cut to facilitate a move out of a club that kind of pies them off. So really difficult there at the moment for United. Obviously the takeover is rolling along. A report came out from Bloomberg yesterday that the talk was that the Qataris are very confident that the bid is going to be accepted and get over the line. But there's also speculation out there as well and concern that the Glazers could at any moment announce a U-turn and not follow through on the sale. Now, what's the ramifications for that? A huge amount of investment still needs to come in regardless of who the owners are. But the problem they have at the moment is you're looking at a Glazer transfer window now. Mark Obridge on the United Stand, of course, is constantly talking about this, and he's spot on. He called it from a while ago. So it looks like it's going to be a Glazer window, because it looks like it's going to take about 8 to 10 weeks to cross the T's and dot the I's, even if a takeover happened, which means you're outside the window straight away. You'd be into September at that stage. So even if the Qataris or Jim Ratcliffe take over, it looks like they're going to be targeting January. It's going to be the flip of what they did last season. Probably have a huge January and a very small summer. But let's see what happens. Let's see how this all unfolds. But no doubt they've got to get guys out the window. James Maddison announced yesterday as well, completing his move to Spurs, 40 million. Great price for this lad, super talented boy going to Spurs. Strange that Newcastle didn't go back in for him and that other clubs in the Prem slept on him. Maybe they just didn't fancy him. Spurs seems an interesting move for him as well, especially coming from Leicester where he has won a bit of silverware. going into Spurs where they struggled to win a bit of silverware, and also the whole Harry Kane situation up in the air and stuff like that. I'm sure James Maddison making the decision to go to Spurs, you know, having Harry Kane there would be a huge part of that decision as well. But will Harry Kane remain? We know there's a bid in from Bayern Munich that was rejected straight away. I think it was about 60-65 million. Now they're going to go in with an improved bid. Looks like they really do want Harry Kane. Will Harry Kane move? Will Levy buckle rather than losing him on a free next year? Will he cash in on Kane? And if he does cash in on Kane, then where does that leave Spurs? Is that money going to be made available to bring reinforcements in? And like you're never gonna really find a player of the ilk of Harry Kane really to come in and deliver the goals and the assists that he does at Spurs. But you're going to have to bridge the gap somehow. So potentially, if Harry Kane exits the building, depending on what happens there, this may or may not be a good move for James Maddison, considering Newcastle had been sniffing around as well. I think Newcastle would have been a sensational move for James Maddison. Very surprised they didn't come back in on 40 million. But there you go. Chelsea look like they're ramping up their pursuit of Moise Caicedo. Looks like they're going to get it done. They're down the road on this now. We know United have been heavily linked with him and want to go with him as well. But I think still at this stage, I think things are still up in the air. The whole Mason Mount situation and stuff like that. Is the deal still really on the table? Is that bid still on the table? Or have they whipped it off the table at this stage if they're turning their eyes to Caicedo? And they're also looking at bringing in Rasmus Højlund as well, which would be a sensational player to come in for them as well. But let's see what happens. So many things to be answered, so many things connected in this transfer window as well. We can also confirm as well, Carvalho looks like he's going to be on the move. He's going on a loan to RB Leipzig as well. Mixed emotions about this, to be honest. I think Liverpool's treatment of the boy has been really, really poor, and I'm a Liverpool fan. I think they could have done a better job with this boy. They brought him in really for, I don't know, it's for silly reasons really. It's not a position that they use. They brought him in. He was sensational in the Championship with Fulham. He's paid off a year of his career. So it should be a good move for him going out to Leipzig and getting that experience as well. But just doesn't sit with me well how the treatment of this boy has gone down in the club over the last year. I mentioned it a number of times on match reactions and match reviews and all that kind of thing, when we needed a little bit of flair and creativity and stuff like that, and this boy can give it to you. He was just ignored. So really, really disappointing. Leicester look like they're going to sign Connor Cody. Fee somewhere in the region of 7.5 million from Wolves, rising to 8.5 million obviously with add-ons. This could be a good move for Leicester. Obviously they have a lot of players exiting the building and stuff like that, so they're going to need to bring in a bit of experience and a bit of quality there as well if they're going to have a push back out of the Championship and into the Premier League, which should be an interesting one for them. Kovacic has confirmed his move to Man City. A lot of moves confirmed yesterday. Obviously yesterday was kind of like D-Day really for all these kind of moves. We knew about most of these. There was no real major surprises out there. Mendy obviously made his move to Saudi Arabia. We're hearing that Bobby Firmino now was close to making a move there as well. We wish Bobby well, of course. Sensational for Liverpool and stuff like that. If there was ever a man deserves the riches and spoils of Saudi Arabia, it's Bobby Firmino, and still very much a player to be reckoned with and can do a serious job and stuff like that. But Mendy was confirmed as well. There's also talk, we've seen an update from Jesse Lingard yesterday. He's talking about interested in a move to Saudi Arabia. Who wouldn't be with the money that's on offer at the moment? But yeah, absolutely sensational. Croydon Football Club, let's talk about Croydon. This is one out of the blue and stuff like that. Has been purchased. They have new owners. The fans must be absolutely over the moon. Wilfred Zaha and Stormzy have purchased Croydon Football Club. This is another one of these. I love these stories and stuff like that. Absolutely sensational. Hopefully we get some sort of a background documentary and stuff like that on the basis of it, maybe the first year or something like that, like what they did with Wrexham and these Amazon documentaries where they follow teams around. Croydon could be the next one. It's really, really cool. I'm in the middle of watching the Wrexham one at the moment, and it's really, really cool. Really enjoying it. I know it's out a while now, but catching up on my viewing, as they say in the summer, because we do be so busy with content creation during the season. What else are we going to talk about? We talked about Kane to Bayern Munich, Stormzy, Bobby Firmino, the United takeover. Luton Borough Council as well in the news need about 400k to reach the health and safety Premier League. So a little bit of pressure on Luton there. 400,000 needed to reach the safety levels that's acceptable in the Premier League. So they're working on that at the moment. Jose Mourinho as well is after being handed a 10-day suspension. It's weird. I don't know what way they do things in Italy. Like normally, like, you know, if you're going to get a suspension, it's normally based on games. But he's been handed a 10-day suspension for his comments about the referee. What was the referee's name? Chirpy, I think it was, where he says the ref was the worst referee he's ever seen. So he's been fairly outspoken. Jose Mourinho, he's been in the wars this season in terms of referees and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. We also have to talk about the David De Gea situation as part of the United conversation, of course. Was offered a reduced contract, with a big pay cut in his wages. United, I'm hearing, have now whipped that back off the table, and they've gone in with another offer which has lowballed him even further in terms of his wages. My gut feeling tells me that they're trying to force David De Gea out the door, although there's a double-edged sword to that. If they do force him out the door, they're going to have to go into the market for a goalkeeper, which may or not be included, I would say, in United's original thinking and budget and stuff like that. I think also the new revised contract offer as well is also stating that he doesn't look like he's going to be the number one keeper as well. So it's a kind of a crappy kind of situation there at United with David De Gea. If this was kind of the feeling, you know, they should have made that clear maybe towards the end of the season so the boy could have a proper send-off. He has given them great service over the last decade or whatever it was. Okay, he's been in a very difficult situation at United where there's been a lot of turmoil and, you know, a lot of managerial turnovers and players and all sorts of stuff and things like that. It's been a difficult decade for United, no doubt about it, and stuff like that. But he has been there, and on a number of occasions as well, he has been United's player of the season. Which to me is not always a good thing, as I mentioned earlier in the summer when I spoke about Alisson Becker being Liverpool player of the season. When a goalkeeper is your player of the season, you inherently have a lot of problems and stuff like that, you know. So also reporting out, Jorginho looks like he's going to be staying at Arsenal, even though he had been linked with a number of moves back to Italy and stuff like that. I think it's key that Arsenal hang on to Jorginho there. Especially with the talk at the moment that Partey might exit the building, and also Granit Xhaka. They need to keep some sort of core there. They don't necessarily want to be going back into the market maybe for another midfielder if Jorginho was to leave. Let me know your thoughts on that, Arsenal fans. Maybe you would like Jorginho to leave and Arsenal to go back into the market, so you have quite a new midfield in there and stuff like that. But certainly, folks, the transfer window and all this football news really heating up at the moment, bordering on fact, opinion, gossip, and even conspiracy. We seen it the other day with Luis Diaz getting the number 7 shirt, freeing up the number 23 shirt, potentially linking us to Nicolo Barella. But I don't buy into all that kind of conspiracy stuff. Other stuff on TalkSport the other day as well. The girl who was on TalkSport talking about how they may have used Man City, who backed out of the Rice deal, to pump the Cronkies over the line in terms of going over the 100 million and stuff like that. Some of the conspiracy stuff out there is absolutely crazy. But sure, this is what happens. It's silly season, the sun is out, it's beautiful here. So when the sun hits people in their heads, they start talking and thinking crazy things. But let's see how things progress. Obviously, the player contracts all run out tomorrow, the 30th of June. So fresh contract talks will all be happening from the 1st of July. And I'd imagine from the weekend on, we're going to be seeing a lot of activity, especially in the Premier League. Just a lot of chess pieces moving around at the moment to make certain deals actually happen. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what your team is doing. As I said, like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification button. Join us tonight at 9 o'clock. Money in the Bank preview coming at you. Also check out last night's show on Stephen Kenny with myself and the boys. And of course, always enjoy the content and let us know your thoughts. Cheers.